gate shatters under the carbine stock, wood splintering, the way into the camp blasted open. A skeleton of a man rises from a bamboo bunk, hollow eyes wide, disbelief and hope at war. The Cabanatuan Raid, January 30th, 1945, 30 miles behind enemy lines in the Philippines. But 3 days earlier, this sprawling prison camp held the last survivors of Bataan. Behind the wire, an emaciated American lies on a bamboo platform, ribs visible through paper skin. 3 skeletal prisoners shuffle through the dusty yard, ghosts of the soldiers they once were. Long rows of crude bunks, Bataan survivors lie motionless, clinging to life on thin rice gruel. A Japanese guard stands watch on a wooden tower, rifle ready, eyes scanning the compound below. A Japanese officer's hand holds the kill-all order, red imperial seal condemning 500 souls. At Palawan, American POWs are forced into dark air raid trenches, shadows against an ominous sky. Flames erupt from the trenches as gasoline ignites, 150 men burning alive. A survivor of Palawan, burns visible on his skin, tells his story to intelligence officers. General Kruger at his headquarters desk reads the Palawan report, jaw set with determination. Lieutenant Colonel Mucci stands at attention, receiving orders for the most dangerous mission of the war. A map shows 30 miles of enemy territory between American lines and the prison camp. Alamo scout lieutenants study reconnaissance photos, memorizing guard positions and camp layout. Rangers check weapons in fading light, hands moving with practiced precision over M1 Garands and Thompsons. A bazooka team loads rockets, the weapons that will destroy towers and any Japanese armor. Captain Pajota, Filipino guerrilla commander, meets with American officers bringing crucial local intelligence. Pajota points to a map, explaining that 800 Japanese soldiers camped just across the river. In a candlelit church at Gimba, Colonel Mucci stands at the altar addressing his rangers. 120 rangers raise their hands together in the dim church, swearing a solemn oath. Mucci's face in close up as he speaks the promise. Every prisoner comes home or we don't. Alamo scouts slip into the darkness at dusk, beginning the infiltration toward the distant camp. The scouts wade through moonlit rice paddies, weapons held overhead, water at their chests. Scouts crawl beneath a highway bridge as Japanese trucks rumble overhead, holding their breath. At Rizal Road, scouts sprint across the enemy supply route one at a time. Filipino guerrilla runners meet the scouts, guiding them through routes known only to the resistance. The main ranger column moves out from Gimba at 1900 hours, beginning the 30-mile march. A Filipino guide leads the column through jungle terrain, navigating paths invisible to American eyes. Captain Josen's guerrillas link up with the Rangers, adding 75 fighters to the force. In a village they pass, a Filipino woman quiets her dog, caging chickens to hide the advance. Rangers ford the Talavera River at midnight, holding rifles overhead as water rises to their chests. The column reaches Balingkari before dawn, exhausted men taking cover in barns and huts. Captain Pajota delivers devastating news. The Japanese battalion has moved closer, now within 2 miles. Through morning haze, Rangers can see Japanese tanks moving on the road, armor they cannot fight. Mucci makes the hardest call, delayed 24 hours despite the risk of Japanese discovery. Rangers disperse into Filipino homes and barns, hiding in plain sight as enemy patrols pass. Alamo scouts push forward alone, crawling closer to the camp through tall grass and ditches. From a grass-roofed shack 300 meters out, Lieutenant Ronceville watches the camp through binoculars. The scout counts guards methodically, marking 12 forward posts and 4 towers on his hand-drawn map. Close-up of the main gate through binoculars. Wooden construction, heavy padlock, guards rotated every 2 hours. A scout runner carries the intelligence back to Muchi. 500 POWs. Positions confirmed, attack feasible. Colonel Muchi gathers his officers around a map, assigning sectors and objectives for the assault. Muchi explains to Pajota that his guerrillas must block the bridge, holding back 800 Japanese. Pajota shows Muchi 25 American landmines his men recovered from Japanese supply dumps. A Filipino guerrilla captain gestures skyward, explaining the P-61 distraction plan that will draw guards' attention. A radio operator taps out the final coordination message. Assault proceeds at 1945 hours tonight. Rangers conduct final equipment checks, verifying ammunition, first aid kits, and wire cutters for breaching. At Plateros Village, 26 Carabao carts are staged with Filipino drivers, ready for evacuation. The assault force forms into 3 columns: C Company front, F Company rear, weapon support. Rangers move through tall Kogon grass and fading light, the camp visible as a dark shape ahead. Guerrilla demolitions experts place the time bomb beneath the Cabu Bridge, timer set for 1945 hours. Captain Pajota positions his 200 guerrillas in a V-shaped ambush along the river's south bank. Filipino fighters bury 25 landmines in the road, creating a deadly kill zone for vehicles. Captain Josen's 75 guerrillas take positions blocking the secondary approach to the southwest. A P-61 Black Widow night fighter lifts off from Lingayen Airfield at 1800 hours. The Rangers reach the edge of open ground, 600 yards of flat stubble before the camp. At 1930 hours, 121 men lower themselves into the rice stubble, beginning the crawl. Rangers crawl on elbows and knees, weapons cradled, moving inches at a time through the darkness. Each man advances slowly, painfully, faces pressed into dirt, crawling toward the distant perimeter wire. At 1935 hours, the P-61 appears overhead, its engines deliberately sputtering like mechanical distress. Guards on the towers look up at the struggling aircraft, their attention pulled away from the field. The P-61 waggles its wings dramatically, pilot Schreiber selling the performance of a plane in trouble. Inside a barracks, emaciated POWs hear the strange aircraft watching the sky through gaps in bamboo walls. A guard scans the dark field with binoculars, and every ranger freezes motionless in the stubble. The P-61 circles again, buying more time, the distraction working exactly as planned. With the guards watching the sky, Rangers resume crawling, now 300 yards from the perimeter. F Company approaches the rear of the camp through a dry creek bed, using it for cover. C Company nears the main gate approach, the wooden structure looming 30 yards ahead in darkness. Beneath the Cabu Bridge, the time bomb's timer continues its countdown, minutes to detonation. The bazooka team reaches firing position at the northwest corner, the fortified pillbox in their sights. Wire cutters are readied at 3 breach points along the fence, Rangers poised to cut through. Captain Prince checks his watch, very pistol ready, waiting for Murphy's signal shot to begin. At the Cabu River, Pajota's 200 guerrillas wait in their V-formation ambush, weapons ready. Across the river, Japanese soldiers of the Dokuho 359 sit at ease, unaware of their fate. The P-61 makes its final pass and climbs away into the night. Distraction mission complete. Lieutenant Murphy lies prone at the rear, rifle sights centered on a guard in the tower. Inside the barracks, POWs settle onto bamboo bunks for another night, not knowing rescue lies yards away. Staff Sergeant Richardson coils at the main gate like a sprinter, carbine ready to smash the lock. A Japanese guard on the tower turns from watching the sky, settling back into his routine. Murphy's finger takes up the final slack on the trigger, the rear tower guard in his sights. The watch hands sweep to 1945. Murphy's M1 cracks the silence with the shot that started it. The tower guard drops from the platform before the sound fades, the first kill of the raid. 121 weapons open fire simultaneously, the night erupting into continuous muzzle flash. Rangers surge forward from the crawl position, weapons blazing, racing toward the breached perimeter. Wire cutters snap through barbed strands at 3 points, creating gaps in the camp's defenses. Richardson's carbine stock smashes the heavy padlock, metal shattering, the gate swinging open on chaos. Rangers pour through the smashed gate, each man peeling to his assigned sector, weapons firing. A bazooka rocket streaks into the pillbox, the explosion silencing the machine gun and its crew. The tank shed erupts in secondary explosions as rockets find fuel and ammunition. Inside a barracks, a POW bolts awake to gunfire, certain the long-feared massacre has begun. An American prisoner rips a bamboo leg from his bunk, ready to fight executioners with bare hands. A ranger kicks open a barracks door, American voice cutting through chaos. Head for the gate. POWs realize this is no massacre. American voices, American uniforms. This is rescue coming through the door. A tall Texan ranger grabs an emaciated airman and jerks him to his feet. You're going home. Skeletal prisoners stream toward the gate, rangers directing the flow, the impossible rescue unfolding. The Cabu Bridge explodes in a massive orange fireball, blowing a gap that will trap Japanese tanks. Japanese soldiers of the Dokuho 359 scramble from their campfires toward the sounds of battle. Pajota's machine guns open up from both flanks, catching the charging Japanese in a crossfire. Japanese infantry charges the damaged bridge, running straight into the kill zone. Pajota prepared. A landmine detonates under a Japanese tank attempting to bypass the bridge, tearing off its track. A Filipino guerrilla with a bazooka scores a direct hit on a second Japanese tank. The battle at Cabu Bridge reaches full intensity. Muzzle flash and explosions lighten the river. Wave after wave of Japanese infantry charges the bridge, running into interlocking fields of fire. A Filipino machine gunner methodically sweeps the bridge approach, brass casings piling beside him. A Japanese tank searches the riverbank for a ford, seeking to outflank the guerrilla position. A guerrilla who learned the bazooka hours earlier tracks the searching tank through crude sights. His rocket streaks across the dark water and the third Japanese tank erupts in flame. The P-61 returns to the battle, rolling into a strafing run over Japanese positions. 50 caliber and 20 millimeter rounds stitch across the enemy concentration, adding to the devastation. A fourth Japanese tank hits a buried mine, the explosion disabling it in the road. 516 POWs stream through the shattered main gate, skeletons escaping their death camp. A ranger sweeps the final barracks with a flashlight, ensuring no prisoner has been left behind. A guerrilla observer spots Japanese soldiers attempting to flank around Pajota's blocking position. The flanking force walks into a prepared ambush cut down in the open under moonlight. Captain Prince raises his very pistol and fires a red star cluster. All POWs are out. Rangers conduct an orderly withdrawal from the burning camp, covering each other in tactical bounds. At Plateros, liberated prisoners reach the waiting carabao carts, Filipino farmers helping them aboard. A second red flare arcs into the sky. All forces have crossed the Pampanga River safely. Pajota's guerrillas continue engaging the Japanese, holding the Cabu position for over 2 hours more. The Dokuho 359 Battalion lies destroyed, over 300 dead, 8 tanks burning at the river. The guerrillas finally withdraw from Cabu, mission complete, carrying their 26 fallen comrades home. The evacuation column stretches into the night, carabao carts creaking, liberated men shuffling alongside. An elderly POW waves off help. He survived the death march and insists on walking to freedom. Filipino villagers line the route, offering water and fruit, weeping at the sight of skeletal survivors. At Balingkari, 15 more carabao carts join the column as word spreads through the village. Through the night, the column moves, POWs sleeping in carts for the first time without fear. The column crosses Rizal Road in darkness, carts rumbling over the main Japanese supply route. Dawn breaks golden over the column, the first sunrise these men have seen as free men. A POW's eyes lock onto an American flag ahead, tears streaming down his hollow cheeks. Army trucks and ambulances arrive at the rendezvous point, a wall of American military power. Soldiers help emaciated men down from carts, strong hands gentle on skeletal, fragile frames. The most critical cases are loaded onto stretchers and into waiting ambulances immediately. The truck convoy rolls toward Guimba, carrying 516 men given up for dead. A POW in the back of a truck looks back one last time at the road behind. Guimba appears ahead through the dust, American military installations visible, the journey's end in sight. The first trucks enter town, soldiers lining the road with faces of shock at the survivors. Gentle hands help liberated men down from truck beds, every touch careful, every grip steadying. Skeletal hands receive bowls of hot soup, the first real American food in 3 long years. A medic presses a stethoscope to a POW's chest, cataloging the damage of 3 years' starvation. Colonel Mucci checks off names on his roster, 516, every single prisoner accounted for. A ranger's strong hand clasps a POW's skeletal hand, their eyes meeting and no words necessary. A liberated man drinks clean water from a canteen, eyes closing in simple, profound gratitude. A warm army blanket wraps around a shivering survivor whose body can no longer regulate temperature. Worn dog tags are checked, identities verified, confirming that these forgotten men truly still exist. The Rangers finally stand down in the assembly area, helmets off, exhaustion on every face. The 2 Alamo Scout lieutenants deliver their final debrief to intelligence officers, mission accomplished. The casualty report is written. 2 Rangers killed in action, 2 POWs too weak to survive. An American officer shakes Captain Pajota's hand, honoring the Filipino fighters who made victory possible. Fresh Army uniforms are pressed into grateful hands, dignity restored through clean new olive drab. The completed roster shows 516 names checked, every prisoner accounted for and alive. A radio operator transmits the mission success report to 6th Army headquarters in code. General Kruger at headquarters reads the message, allowing himself a rare moment of quiet satisfaction. At Gimba Airstrip, liberated POWs board C-47 transport aircraft for the flight to hospital ships. A C-47 lifts off from Philippine soil, carrying rescued men toward safety at Leyte Gulf. A POW watches through the small window as the island where he nearly died grows smaller. A white hospital ship with red crosses rides at anchor in the blue waters of Leyte Gulf. Navy corpsmen carry stretchers up the gangway, welcoming skeletal Americans back to proper medical care. A clean white hospital bed receives a man who slept on bamboo slats for 3 years. A Navy nurse holds a skeletal hand gently, the first kind touch from a woman in years. A survivor closes his eyes in the clean bed, finally safe, finally at peace, at last. The American flag waves from the ship's stern as 516 kept promises sail toward home.